I want to welcome everybody to this really special occasion where we commemorate the service and life with a permanent monument and memorial to Mark Woods Jr., who really, words can't describe the impact that he left, not just on the town of Clarkstown, obviously on his family and his friends, but on the greater community. So I'm going to recognize our elected officials later on. I'm going to ask everyone to please stand for the presentation of the colors by the Clarkstown Police Honor Guard.
Stand by. Colors. Attention. Cut. Colors. Shoulder. Arms. Ready. Cut.
Maggie Woods is going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Colors. Present. Arms.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The national anthem will be sung by Melinda Neitz.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Colors. Shoulder. Arms.
Our invocation is going to be led by Reverend Richard Hasselback, the pastor of the Clarkstown Reformed Church.
Let's pray. Creator God, we give you thanks. We thank you for all things, but we thank you today for this opportunity to dedicate a park that was the vision of a man who loved to serve. Creator God, we know that you are the God who loves and who asks us to love each other and to build bridges between each other. And so we thank you for the life and the gift of Mark Woods, for the bridges that he built in the community, for the bridges that he helped veterans to have, and for the bridge that he built to this park, this park, his vision of a fully accessible park that would be a joy for children no matter what their abilities or disabilities might be. Thank you, Lord, for Mark, for his life. He walked too few years among us, but you know your business, and we just trust you that while we loved him here, he is now with you. And we have the honor of remembering him, not only with this park, but by keeping him in our hearts all the days of our lives. We ask this and we pray this prayer in your unutterable name. You are the God who creates, sustains, and saves us. You are the one who lives forever and ever. And we can all say, Amen.
Please remain standing as we retire the colors. Please retire the colors.
Colors. Right. Face.
Thank you. Please be seated. I want to recognize just some of the dignitaries and elected officials that are here. Obviously, joining us are members of the Clarkstown Town Board, our Councilman Mike Graziano, Councilman Bob Axelrod. Also up on the dais, the Captain Jim Fay and Captain Glenn Cummings from the Clarkstown Police Department. You'll be hearing from momentarily Congressman Michael Lawler, and we're grateful for Congressman Lawler changing his schedule to be here. He was good friends with Councilman Woods. Also Carlos Martinez, the Executive Director of Bridges, and of course our County Executive Ed Day. Also want to recognize New York State Senator Bill Weber, New York State Assemblyman Pat Carroll. From the Judiciary, we have Judge Keith Broffitel. I believe also we may have Judge Leslie Kahn here as well. We have former or retired Judge Scott Ugel. From the Rockland County Legislature, we have the Minority Leader Lon Hofstein. We have Beth Davidson, and we have Will Kennelly as well. We have our Clarkstown Superintendent of Highways, Bob Malone. We also have our Town Clerk and Receiver of Taxes, Laura Marie Wohl. In addition, from the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board, we have our Chairman, Brian Tesseman, and our Vice Chairman, John Valentino. Both of them were very helpful with this project as well. In addition, we have Susan Branham, who worked closely with Mark and is the Director of the Rockland County Veterans Service Agency. I want to thank Susan for being here as well. We also have with us a whole bunch of folks from the veterans organizations, and I'm going to ask us to have all the veterans that are in attendance to please stand so we can express our gratitude to them. We also have our superintendent, real great partner with the town of Clarkstown, our superintendent from the Clarkstown Central School District, Mark Biacco. Also, we have from Bridges, Izzy Cantana and Mark Carlo, the director of the Dwyer program as well. They're carrying on the legacy and the service of Mark. So. Oh, and I'm sorry, and our county clerk, and I was talking to her before the ceremony, our county clerk, Donna Gorman-Silverman. Thank you, Donna, as well. So early on the morning of Friday, May 17th, 2024, Clarkstown Councilman Mark Woods Jr. passed away suddenly and very unexpectedly at the age of 54. To say that his passing was a shock and a tragedy is really an understatement. His death still leaves an enormous hole in the hearts of our community at large, in the veterans community, and in the lives of his family and friends. I knew Mark for just over 5 years, and in that time, he became a very dear friend and a trusted confidant. During these past years, I had interviewed Mark 3 times for my Hometown Happenings show, and each time I was fascinated by the many sides there were to his personality, and each time I learned something new about him. He was indeed, in my opinion, the quintessential Renaissance man. Mark was born in Brooklyn, New York. He attended Catholic school growing up, and he told me that at a very early age he was inspired by his Uncle Greg, a veteran of Vietnam, and it moved him to have deep respect for the military, which propelled him towards a life of service. He offered that he thought about attending West Point. He actually admitted it was a bit too late, and while he applied, he said he was never really seriously considered. So he enrolled in another college, the military college, the Citadel. And it's here that he developed a love of the military and in particular, the Civil War. He became a real Civil War aficionado. On my Hometown Happenings show, he once joked how at the time people in the South, this is back in the 90s, did not refer to it as the Civil War, but as the War of Northern Aggression. Upon graduation from the Citadel, Mark enlisted in the U.S. Army. He was commissioned a second lieutenant in the infantry, and thus began his lifelong love affair and relationship with the United States Army. Mark was assigned to serve in Europe. He said he had asked for Hawaii, and several other exotic locations, only to learn that he was assigned to Germany, Berlin specifically, and this was just at the end of the Cold War. He told me he loved his years in Germany. He met many people, and he really enjoyed the history. He said during that time in the early 90s, the Bosnia crisis ensued, and he was detailed to the United Nations peacekeeping mission. And he was very proud of the Blue Beret. In fact, he talked about it often as that's when he received his Blue Beret. After his 4-year commitment was up, he eventually left the military, and he successfully worked as a corrections officer in Manhattan. No, not Manhattan here, but Manhattan, Kansas. And he was a border agent in Texas before coming home to start his career in the NYPD. His first assignments were foot patrol in Brighton Beach, not too far from where he grew up. His life went on, and then on September 11th, the attacks occurred. Mark was off that day, but he was called in and ended up on the recovery efforts on and off for the next year. As a result of the terrorist attacks, Mark was recalled to the Army in 2004. He had been out for 9 years. He joked with me how he had received a telegram from Western Union informing him that he was being recalled. And he said legitimately his first thought was, wow, I didn't even know Western Union still existed. He thought he would be called back to do infantry duty with the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan raging. Instead, the Army had other plans, and he was called to work in civil affairs, and he received special training. He went to Iraq and embedded with the mayor and a police chief in a palace in a city of just over 100,000 people. Mark taught, as he said, quote, democracy to the Iraqi people in the city slightly larger than Clarkstown. In his role there, Mark was under a regular mortar attack, and members of his team were targeted by terrorists. Soldiers whom Mark relied upon and served with were also killed. One soldier in particular whom Mark respected and loved was Captain Brian Freeman. Captain Freeman was killed on January 20th, 2007 during an attack by insurgents. Mark would always choke up whenever he mentioned Captain Freeman's name to me. Upon discharge from the Army, Mark returned to New York and service in the NYPD. He was promoted to work in the Vice Squad. This led eventually to going to the JTT, the Joint Terrorism Task Force, one of the most important and prestigious assignments in the entire department. As a member of the JTT, he worked on human trafficking cases and very much enjoyed his time in the efforts rescuing underage victims from the illegal sex trafficking trade. He developed a strong relationship with the Manhattan District Attorney's Office, and upon retirement intended eventually to go work for the DA. When he first enrolled, however, God had other plans, and Mark enrolled in Rockland Community College, just to take a few courses in history and some other subjects. This proved fortuitous for Mark and for the Rockland veteran community, as he was asked by Jonathan Barnwell first to volunteer with the Veteran Service Office, and then he was eventually hired by the county and served as the deputy director for several years of that organization. It was around this time that I first met Mark, and we connected immediately. As I said, I interviewed him for my television program, and off camera we spoke about life and his career. I learned of his respect and love for General Grant and all things Civil War. He was an avid reader, particularly on the Civil War and on military tactics. We started to talk regularly, and we'd often grab a cup of coffee or lunch. During these conversations, we would talk about our jobs, what we would do together to help vets, and frankly, just about everything else. Even one day, Mark called and asked to meet. I remember, wasn't sure what it was about, and he asked me specifically about leaving county government to go to Bridges to run the Dwyer program. I told him he'd be foolish not to take the opportunity. Afterwards, I remember being so touched that he asked my opinion on this career move. And Mark went to Bridges, and he took that Dwyer program to the next level. As a councilman, Mark threw himself into his work. He represented his ward and the people of this town with great dignity. He worked hard, he knocked on doors to learn about issues, and he connected with people. He had a unique way to make people feel special. He tackled problems. He made suggestions. He made a difference. In 5 short months on the town board, he made recommendations on many things, from the police department, using his police experience, to facilities. But the project most important to him was this playground. Due to his work at Bridges, he wanted us to replace the older playground here with a fully accessible, inclusive playground. One of the last things Mark did before his death was to review the plans and to make some suggestions to ensure that this playground would be a success. And when it opens later today, it'll be one of the largest accessible playgrounds in Rockland County, indeed in the lower Hudson Valley. Mark was always working to give more to those in need. It was more important for him to make sure children of all abilities would have the chance to use this facility. That's why today I consider this one of the highlights of my tenure as supervisor, one of the highlights of all the projects we've done in the town of Clarkstown in the last 20 years. While Mark is gone from us, his name will grace this playground, and he's left an indelible mark on this community. And this playground and memorial will be here as a testament to this very good and very decent man. Jeannie, Maggie, Ray, Mrs. Woods, to the entire family, while we can never take away the pain of your loss, I hope today brings you a measure of comfort, knowing how much Mark was loved and respected. This playground and the adjacent memorial will be a beautiful place for people to enjoy and reflect. The memorial will be a perpetual honor to Mark and his lifetime of service. Years from now, as new generations pass through this area, they will enjoy this playground and they will also see the memorial. Over time, countless thousands will sit by this monument and flagpole and reflect upon his service, and perhaps be inspired like Mark to also serve and to make a difference. It is one last way in which we know that Mark's legacy and service will continue. Thank you, Jeannie, Maggie, Ray, and the entire Woods family for sharing Mark with us, allowing us to have this memorial as a lasting tribute to a truly great man. May God bless you. May He continue to hold Mark in His loving embrace, and may God continue to bless the United States of America. Thank you. This time we're going to hear some words from Congressman Mike Lawler.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. It's great to be here with all of you. This is a tremendous honor to recognize Mark and his commitment to service, his commitment to community, his commitment to our country. One of the great honors of being an elected official is the ability to meet so many people across our community. And along the way, you meet very special people. People who are dedicated to helping others, who care deeply, and who want to do right by people. Mark Woods was that person. He was somebody who was committed deeply to the cause of service, to the cause of justice, to doing what was right. I met him when I was in the State Assembly and got to engage with him on the work he was doing with the Joseph P. Dwyer peer-to-peer program, which is one of the most important programs that we can provide support to our veterans. And he cared so deeply about helping our veterans, about making sure that they had the resources they need to prevent veteran suicide, to help those suffering with PTSD. He was so committed to making sure that our veterans knew they were not alone. This is someone who answered the call every time it came. Whether serving in the NYPD, or serving in the United States military, defending our freedoms and our way of life. And when he came forward and said that he wanted to run for town council, I was so excited because I knew not only would he win, but that he would do the job and do it exceptionally well. Because it was not about him, it was not about the title, it was not about his own ego. It was about the opportunity to serve and make our community a better place. And so I was so honored when he asked me to swear him in. That is the type of person you want in public service. That is the type of person you want in your community. And so when George called me at 6 a.m., to let me know that Mark died, it was heartbreaking. So it wasn't just a loss for our community. It was a loss of a dear friend. It was a loss of a husband, of a father, of a son. And it was a loss of a great American. So, Jeannie, Mrs. Woods, Ray, and Maggie, you should be so proud of Mark. As Ralph Waldo Emerson said, it's not the length of life, but the depth of life. Mark didn't have the gift of time, but in his 54 years, he made more of an impact than all of us can make in a lifetime together. I'm grateful for his friendship, for his service, and I know his memory will always be a blessing on this community and this nation. So it is an honor to be here today. And Ray and Maggie, I know you will live on and carry on your father's legacy and memory and his commitment to service. And he would be so proud of both of you. God bless you all. God bless the United States of America.
Next, we're going to be hearing from Carlos Martinez, the Executive Director of Bridges.
Just want to quickly acknowledge the Bridges family that's here at the back, and of course the Joseph P. Dwyer Veteran Peer Support Program, represented here, part of Mark's work family. Just a few words. Mark was a man of humility. He showed that even under pressure, his ultimate resolve was to make the best decision, all while protecting the dignity of any person involved. You've heard of all of his incredible accomplishments to his country, to his community, to me, quite frankly, unmatched. His service in the Army, NYPD, Border Control, you name it. He shared stories with me in human trafficking scenarios that he was involved in. And quite frankly, he could walk around with a certain uptight pride, arrogance, and it would be somewhat justified, and yet he didn't. He walked around with this grace and humility. And then even with all that sacrifice and service, there was this really cool side to Mark that I got to know and I really appreciate. This side of Mark that wasn't embarrassed of being just a little extra colorful. He said, he came into my office one time and I looked at his feet and I said, "What the heck is that?" They were blue Uggs. And you know, Uggs are supposed to be brown and they're already puffy. And these were blue. And we just bursted out laughing in the genuineness and humility that Mark was. If you also know Bridges, we have every year a holiday contest for the best, ugliest sweater. Mark came, and Jeannie, I don't know how you let him walk out the house. He came out with a full-on Christmas suit from jacket, tie to the socks and shoes. It was incredible. I voted for him, by the way. He didn't win. I think he got second place, but it just shows this side of Mark that was genuine and playful. And for me, it was something I would not have expected from a person with his caliber of experience and dedication to service. It's all the reasons why honoring him by building this playground and remembering him by it is so right and it's so meaningful. This idea to build this playground was one of genuine, purposeful intention. When Mark talked about this, it was to give the community an accessible place to play and to be worry-free. And I'm frankly very honored that Bridges and myself could be a big part of it with him, and I'm grateful to the town for carrying it through. Thank you.
And our final speaker is Jeannie Woods.
So we've all heard about Mark's devotion to country, to community, to his fellow veterans, to the city of New York. I think that's been rehashed time and time again. But what I don't think a lot of you know is the inspiration behind this playground. Mark's uncle Joey, his godfather, suffered from a condition called osteogenesis imperfecta. Am I getting that right? I'm getting that right. So basically it's a brittle bone disease in which caused Joey to be in a wheelchair for his whole life. Mark accompanied Joey and made sure he lived the fullest life possible. Mark brought Joey to many concerts. He specified that Joey loved Stevie Nicks, and they went to plenty of concerts for Fleetwood Mac. He brought Joey to Yankee games. He was a fixture at Yankee games. He had his own special seating. He had season tickets. So Mark would travel from Brooklyn all the way up to the Bronx just to watch the Yankees with Joey. Pushing Joey in his wheelchair the whole time, sometimes carrying Joey when it was necessary. Even in his wheelchair, Joey learned how to drive a car. He lived as fully functional a life as he could. But yet still, the world back then wasn't as friendly to people with different abilities, who were in wheelchairs or crutches. So when Mark and I were talking about his campaign, we looked at how the only accessible playground was at Rockland Lake, where you have to pay admission to park. So Mark said, wouldn't it be great if we could have something right here in Clarkstown? So while serving his community was part of it, people like Joey were always in the back of his mind. And he always thought that if when Joey was a child, he could have enjoyed a playground like this. So while this playground is named after Mark, and we're so honored that it is, I want you to know that it's Joseph Monaco who is really the inspiration behind this playground. So I hope the community enjoys that, and I hope the community knows the whole history of my husband and the person that he was. Thank you.
Three, two, one. And I do want to just, I have a few thank yous that this was a major undertaking. In excess of $1 million, which we were able to do. The playground was slated to be replaced, and had we not taken the efforts that we did, it would have just been replaced as a regular playground. So I want to thank all the members of the town board, past and present. I know former Councilman Carroll, now our Assemblyman, voted on this, as well as our former Councilman John Valentino, and the current members of the board. So I want to thank them for their support of the project. I also want to recognize, unfortunately, that you couldn't be here, Mark Licker, Councilman, had a scheduled vacation, and Councilman Franchino had a family commitment. I do want to recognize Mark Rossman. I waited to the end to recognize Mark. Mark is here. I want you to just, everybody wait. You can see Mark. Mark came to know Mark Woods, was inspired by him, and he's established a scholarship for this year at Dominican University in Mark Woods' memory. It's named the Mark Woods Junior Scholarship, and it's $10,000 at Dominican University. I want to thank Mark for his generosity. I also want to thank all of the staff that were so instrumental with this. Mike G. Garabet from DFM, it really was a labor of love. Along with them was Al Maroney, my chief of staff, who really shepherded this through, along with Matt Veronese, our superintendent of Parks and Recreation, our deputy superintendent, Chip Connington, and of course Colin Schmidt. Palladino Construction, they did a fabulous job with the memorial. I want to thank them. And they were literally out here. All of us were here like every day checking on it, but it was just great to see the owner of the company out here as well. I also want to thank all of my staff, in particular Erica Machete, Anne-Marie Bubb, Ellen, Jeff, Julius, Steve, all the members in my office who really helped put together the program and worked on this. And then finally, I want to thank all of the vets for being here. And I'm so delighted this playground is now open. This concludes our ceremony. Everybody's invited back into the opposite side of the campus. You may want to drive over there, but you could walk to Street Community Center. We have a lunch, box lunch, and it'd be great to have everybody come and join us and share remembrances. One last thing, I meant to mention this too. He's sitting over here, but this almost didn't happen today. I do want to thank Congressman Lawler and his staff. You know, that's a beautiful plaque that's up there. And it was stuck in Canada. And it was amazing what can happen when you have a determined congressman. We got in touch with them and said, Mike, the plaque is stuck. They don't even know where it is. It's in customs somewhere in Canada. And so literally within 2 days, the plaque was delivered. So this literally wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for Mike. So thank you, Mike, for that.